new normal is good. New normal is what you built with your toolkit to help you adjust. And I think the best analogy I've ever heard for individuals suffering from PTSD, sexual trauma, or brain injuries was they are sick people playing healthy. And it really resonated with me because I do have to put on, for these shows, I have to put on a persona. Dwayne, my friend here, he's another artist here, and he's a veteran also. He understands that when I'm sitting at that table, I'm trying my best not to bawl my eyes out and cry. Because I've met another veteran who is really trying and they can't do it, or another, a female last convention who just was crying and just needed to come back behind my table and sit there because the crowd was just getting to her. And I offer that to anybody. If you're having a hard time and you're by B69, come back there and sit down. I'm not going to shun you away. That's as far as, that answer your question as far as the toolkits?
Yes.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do you find it more beneficial to put like the dark images or try to focus on trying to get some lighter images or robust and low?
As far as training, with art, it's not the same as writing. And I say that only in the aspect that when you paint something, it's real. When you write something, you're kind of getting it out of your head. So it has to do with imagery.
Yes.
I say if you're going to do dark stuff, do it once, especially if it's associated with your experience.
Right.
Do it once and leave it.
So
Because,
the process, keep the dark stuff,
Mhm.
focus on trying to get a lighter.
but I do dark stuff like the dinosaur coming out of the forest to, and these two girls. And just so you know that image, those two girls are about to kill that dinosaur in the next panel. Because my wife, like I said, she's my rock, and I don't believe in weak women. They don't exist. They don't. They're just, like, if you believe that any woman in your life is weak, I mean, live a day in their shoes, it's pretty traumatic, especially having to deal with me. But to answer your question, any process is great, but I say just as far as sanity levels, I did try drawing the stuff that happened to me and stuff that I experienced, and it was not beneficial. Every time I opened that portfolio, I saw it and I immediately relived it again. As with writing, you have to reread it. Like, you got to sit there and get back into it. I just, as far as personally, the darker stuff kind of doesn't help. But whatever works for you, works for you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm actually a counselor, and I work a lot with populations who've been exposed to traumatic experiences. Often when we use art in counseling, it's with the intention of using it as a springboard for discussion. What is your personal experience and take on that?
As using art as a springboard for discussion, it's just right here. Like, I brought it to the masses, and I'm sorry that kind of came out a little brash. I didn't mean it if it did. I'm very, very subconscious. It's a great thing to do because as an artist, you're going to want at a point to show your artwork to people to, get a feel for it. What do people think about your artwork? And then it's usually people that you're really close with, and that could pop off the discussion that maybe leads to a little bit more healing, a little bit more therapy, And I say therapy in a non-clinical sense as like what I'm doing is non-clinical. If you do have an issue, please seek, professional help. But I think it's a perfect springboard for getting a group, especially a group discussion going, because you could show, I can put that up and I'd be like, sir, here in the blue hat, what do you think about this? And somebody over here is like, what are you talking about? And it's also a very civil group discussions too. If you haven't seen this, would y'all like to look at it? Thanks, Dwayne. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Well, for people who aren't maybe as skilled, but I can visualize stuff and I like taking photographs. But as far as drawing, there's no skill there. That's a beginner level or even a basic level.
That's what this book that I'm going to hand you. If y'all are not on Facebook, I'll have my email available too. almost weekly upload a tutorial on whether just basic anatomy, lighting. My wife's a professional photographer, so I know a lot of that stuff too. And I didn't know how to draw at all. And if you come and look at my portfolio, you're gonna be like, liar. Like, trust me. It was just like in any profession that you have. If you want to be great at it, you get up and do it every day. If you want it to work for you, if you want this to work for you, what are you gonna have to do? You have to get up and do it every day. Every time you have a trigger, you got to pull the sketchbook out and you got to want it. Like, you might not become the next Picasso, but as long as you make it to end on, you know, God's terms, or whatever God you choose, as long as you're going there in good graces, I'm happy for you. And like I said, you can contact me on email. I have a lot of the professional community out here that constantly send me small tutorials that they do, and I just reinterpret them so as to not put their name out there, because some of them just don't want to be known. Not for helping, but just, it's kind of like, you know, anonymously being charitable.
These are art lessons, so to speak, or tutorials?
I'm not a teacher. Like, I went to college and I found out that they were teaching me stuff that I already knew, and they were sending me to YouTube to learn stuff, and that's a big no-no with me. He knows what I'm talking about. Everything's, I like traditional, and if it was just more of a, I'd rather the paper and pencil punch me in the face 1,000 times and learn the lesson once than go and have somebody on YouTube tell me something that I could have learned on my own, and that experience, because I think a lot, especially with artwork, learning those techniques and styles, like, I can teach you proportions, but learning how to draw that person and getting those bumps and bruises out of the way makes you a better artist. If I show you how to draw, you know that old adage, I'm pretty sure y'all all seen it, it's like how to draw an owl, and it shows a circle, and then the next page is a full-blown, majestically drawn owl, and you're all just, you know, everybody's like, ha, ha, ha. But I think the process from that point to the finished piece is the best lessons you could learn, especially if you're having an anxiety attack, because it'll help you become a better artist. And did that answer your question more or less?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm looking at him because I remember him like, that's brain injury. Like, I thought he asked me the question. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
That the drawing or coming down from an anxiety attack or anything, helping refocus, everybody's doing it. Are you, I don't know, Wounded Warriors Project, have they officially picked it up, or
Wounded Warrior Project?
Or other counseling
In Houston,
facilities?
I'm a peer facilitator. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Was that the end of your question?
Basically.
Okay. In Houston, I'm a peer facilitator, and the group that I facilitate with another facilitator, yes, unofficially, they cannot support me, but they support me. Like, they're like, yeah, dude, you know, do it within that group, and if it works within that group, we may incorporate it later. But I know enough people out of the San Antonio office here in Houston that if you wanted to get in contact with me and they were having a support group wherever, or wanted a group of artists to get together, they could just call me up and I would be there. But I don't know anybody else in WWP that is doing it in capacity, like with WWP. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was wondering if it was going to start being more.
Oh, you best believe that I'm going to be very aggressively approaching Wounded Warrior Project to continue, like, to really back this, because I think they're, I mean, even outside of WWP, because I pay for all this stuff out of my pocket. I don't take donations. Just I don't like taking handouts for something that I'm so passionate about. Now, my wife, on the other hand, probably has a different take on it. She's a lovely individual. Don't get me wrong. She's supporting this, but I'm very aggressively talking to the top facilitator people and asking them if this is something they can really push forward, because they have cooking, they have bike riding. I mean, this is $2. and my time is free. I'll show up anywhere they want me to. And because they will fly me to different areas, it's just the people like yourself asking, why isn't there more art stuff? And they're like, oh God, the comic dude went and started a fire. And then I'll be like, that's right, I did.
Right.
Got to save these lives, I got to take care of these people. Yes, sir.
Listen to your woman, but not closely.